Greg ended it at a perfect spot because what we'll do now is play, but not in the way that maybe he was referencing, but by learning directly from our students. There's no way to engage in anti-racist practices in the classroom if we assume that we know what our students need. So we're going to start with an undergraduate student panel. They're all joining us via Zoom. So I'm going to get them pinned up here in just a moment.
And Paula, while you do that, I have to excuse myself because I'm going to lead one of those walks. So I've got my attire underneath, but I'm going to be back either in person or via Zoom. But this is wonderful. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
And I'll be needing to leave fairly soon too, because I have a dean's candidate I have to talk with. I tried to have this day free for me, but I'm afraid that work.
You can see them up here, and I have you all pinned on Zoom. So we're joined by 4 undergraduate students. I did my best to recruit folks from different disciplines and years so that we could learn from a variety of experiences. So we have some prepared questions, and if time allows, then we'll open it up to questions from you all as well. So I'll start with having the students introduce themselves, name, year, major, any other part of your identity that you'd like to share with us. So Mindy, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, cool. I see the thumbs up. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Mindy Fernandez. I use she, her pronouns. I just graduated last Sunday. Woohoo! Yeah, so I graduated with a major in biological sciences with an emphasis in immunology and microbiology. On campus, I was involved in Filipino American Alliance and Filipinos Americans in Science and Engineering. I was part of establishing the newly opened Asian and Pacific Islander Resource Center. So happy API month, everyone. And I was involved in undergraduate research. Last year, I was a panelist during the very first EASE showcase. So I'm super grateful to be invited back and to see how things have changed and to hear everyone speak. So yeah.
Thanks, Mindy. And Andres, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Ramon. I go by as a he, him pronouns. I'm currently as well as just graduated with a degree in human biology. I was part of the Hoyer Lab here at UC Merced. I did undergraduate research as well with UROC. I was part of what's called the CAMP program, which focuses on research for minorities. As well, I was someone who got to do research and got to volunteer work with underdeveloped communities, underserved communities in both Compton and Central Valley. Look how COVID is impacting, and as well as how Central Valley is affected by valley fever diseases, and how can we as a community be able to provide better resources for them, as these are the communities that are often affected but go often unnoticed or get very low treatment.
Thanks, Andres. And Jarshai, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Hala and everybody. So like Hala said, I'm Jarshai Dennis. I've actually just graduated this Saturday too with a BA in psychology and a minor in philosophy. While I was on campus, some of the things that I really did was work a lot with the Black community, helping to create different policies and just different infrastructure for the different clubs and orgs. And then also I was a recipient of the 2020-2021 Black Fellowship Research Award. So I also did a lot of research on the Black community, looking into things like sense of belonging and psychosocial variables and things like that. And I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Jarshai. And last but not least, Capricia, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Capricia Melgoza. I just finished my 3rd year here at UC Merced. I'm majoring in English with a minor in writing studies. And so far throughout my time here, I've spent majority of my time not only studying, but doing extra leadership roles with like social media marketing. I took on an internship with Caltech students as a social media marketing coordinator about 1.5 years ago. And in this past year, I also spent my time as VP of marketing for Alpha Kappa Psi, which is the business professional fraternity on campus. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Capricia. So as you can tell, we have students with a variety of experiences at varying levels of campus. So I'll go through some questions, get through as many as possible, but give you all a chance, like I said, to ask any questions you have. So I want to start with, tell us about a time when you felt seen and heard in the classroom. And I'll have Mindy start us off.
Okay, so there was a time this last semester where I was struggling to balance, school, research, clubs, life, and everything. And I don't know, it's probably fate or something, but my professor um, said that they felt like it was the time of the semester where a lot of students were struggling and to reach out if ever we needed any support. And just that like little remark during class really meant a lot to me because I felt more comfortable sending an email and asking for more time. And I knew that if there was an option for me to have more time to submit my response paper, I knew that I would have submitted something um, more of a quality response rather than a rushed paper. So it meant a lot to me that my professor was just being understanding and looking out for their students.
Thanks, Mindy. And Jarshai, do you want to also share a time when you felt seen and heard in the classroom?
Yeah. So I mean, there's probably been a bunch of times, but I think one time that stands out in particular. So, like I said, my minor was in philosophy, so I've taken a lot of philosophy classes. In philosophy classes, sort of high level debates come up and sensitive topics. And then so there was one day in class we were talking about the idea of distributive justice, and then it trickled on down to kind of like back into slavery, kind of how those things took course over the course of the years, and then ended up into like what we have today, kind of. And then so although the conversation was really sensitive, I think that the professor allowed a space for me to kind of be able to explain the idea and the perspective in a way that also helped to kind of clear it up for everybody else. And that's just a time that I really felt heard and accepted in the classroom.
Thank you both for sharing. And Capricia and Andres, I'd like you to finish this sentence. What I wish that my instructors knew about me and my learning needs is, and so we'll start with Capricia.
Okay, so what I wish my instructors knew about me and my learning needs is that I like to be prepared and always plan ahead when it comes to my assignments or any other responsibilities throughout the week. Naturally, like I'm such an overthinker, I tend to be a bit anxious when I don't know what's expected or what's coming up. So it's really useful and helpful when I have like detailed syllabuses or detailed instructions on what's expected for the week, just so that I can plan ahead and not tend to be a little anxious or impatient.
Thank you. And Andres?
Okay, so I wish so I wish my instructors knew about me and my learning is a student. So I like to have my own entire semester planned out. So I like to get those syllabuses that tell you your entire assignments throughout the entire semester, what's going to go on, when's your test, what work do you expect to do. So I can plan out my entire semester because I'm someone that likes to have everything planned out so I can know, okay, what day should I start this, when should I start this, plan ahead. And I like to be someone who's always ahead top of everything. As well as a first generation college student who as well has Asperger's, I'm someone that constantly seeks out to ask questions and constantly seeks out additional help, whether it be office hours or learning opportunities, because I'm someone that, as someone who has to represent my family for what college is like, I'm always seeking help and always seeking questions because I'm also very curious as a student. I want to always know and I want to continue learning, and I'm always willing to ask help, and I'm willing to show my effort every single step of the way.
Thank you both. And I think as we can tell from all of our students, they carry a lot of responsibilities. So that structure alongside the balance, as Greg mentioned, flexibility is really important. And so Jarshai and Mindy, if you could share specifically what you'd like your instructors to know about how your learning needs shifted in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we'll start with Jarshai.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for me personally, during like the COVID pandemic and everything, I live in the Bay Area, so it's not that far from Merced. It's kind of far, but not as far as other people live. It's only like about 2 hours. And then so when during the pandemic, I moved back home, and then I really became like a very key player for my family in terms of like financial resources. And so after we had to come back to campus, it was like very hard on my family in terms of financial resources and just being able to be as flexible as they were before. And so one of the things I really appreciate about my professors moving into that first semester is that they understood that like I kind of needed the flexibility to be able to like go home on the weekends and sort of help my mom with things around the house or stuff like that. She's kind of older and can't really do that stuff herself. And so I think that was one of the things I really appreciated. And I also had like after when we had got back to semester, I had some sudden deaths in the family, and it was just really a crazy time. And I think that we were kind of rushing back into sort of the swing of things on campus, and kind of sort of forgetting that all that stuff had just happened, like a few months ago, and it was still happening. And I think that a lot of the professors that I had at that time were very appreciative and understanding. And I think kind of the most thing that was really like a game changer is that 11:59, instead of having things due when you come in class, the 11:59 assignment, because that way you have the time to sort of live your life, kind of do what you have to do throughout the day, but still have enough time to be an effective scholar and get your work in. And so I think that was also really one of the great things that helped me during the midst of the COVID pandemic.
Thank you, Joshua. And Mindy?
Yeah, similar to what Darshai said, flexibility. I know I'd like my professors to know that, students aren't perfect, and sometimes there's a lot of pressure learning everything in a really fast-paced environment. And sometimes when I don't do so well in a quiz and I'm trying to bounce back from the quiz, I'm already having to worry about the next quiz. And so allowing for that flexibility within, the short semester that we have, and making it feel like that making mistakes is okay. And it always comes with learning, but sometimes it doesn't feel that way with, with the pressure of being in academia and all that. But yeah, maybe students just need a little bit more time or a little bit more room for mistakes and learning and growth.
Thank you both. I come from a quarter system, so the 16 weeks is nice. I had 10 weeks, so there was no recovery time. So I totally relate to that. And so Andres and Capricia, thinking back on your first semester, what advice would you give yourself to be successful academically? And we'll start with Andres.
I think the advice I would give myself during my first semester is to seek out office hours immediately when you can and try to get a connection with your professors. Because I think for a lot of us as freshmen, the idea of office hours can seem kind of intimidating, especially these professors, because you see that they're in these big classrooms of 200, 300 students for Bio 1, Chem 1, Chem 2. So you're kind of intimidated to go office hours and seek that help. But I recommend you just go to it, because these professors, they want you to learn, they want you to succeed. And part of this is continuing to seeking out office hours, whether it be your TAs or professors, or even, the centers we have, such as the Math Center, the Camp Center. These resources you should seek out immediately, because this will be your turn to getting those grades you want. And when you reach a roadblock, these resources will help you get past the roadblock and to succeed. And I wish as a first semester freshman, I would have seen the resources and not been intimidated by my professors, because then I would have done maybe a bit better and maybe would have not been as stuck in my courses.
Thank you. And Capricia?
Yeah, so thinking back to my first semester, some advice that I would give myself would be to find my own study habits, a study routine, as well as study environments. I feel like going into college my first semester and first years, I always thought that studying kind of came easy a bit to students. And I kind of thought that students had like the same mindset when it came to studying. But I realized like now as the years gotten older, I have my own like personal preferences when it comes to studying and getting in the mindset of just sitting down and getting my work done. So I would definitely tell myself that it's okay, like not everyone studies the same, and to kind of explore my options and where I'm comfortable and where I can just study most efficiently.
And I'll ask one last question and then open it up to our audience to ask any questions. So I know oftentimes we have the opportunity to mentor undergrads, so I'd like to ask you to share your experiences having a mentor and how they contributed to your success. And we'll start with Jershai.
Yeah, so I mean, mentors are great. I think I've had a mentor. I know I actually have had a mentor at every sort of pivotal changing point in my life. So when I started applying for college apps, when I got into college, when I was going to college, so those sort of things. I also had one when I got here during my first and second years. And I've had different kind of mentors. So there were student peer mentors, some professor mentors, but either way, they all sort of helped me better on my path to success. I think as a first gen student and someone who's kind of, really exploring this, for the first time themselves and don't really have any support anywhere else, I think mentors gave me an outlet to kind of have a resource or a kind of compass while navigating, higher education in these different spheres that are surrounding higher education, like professional development, research, just different campus social life, and so those sort of things. So I think like mentors, for me at least, have been very instrumental in my success and where I am today. And I'm very appreciative of all the mentors that I've had to this day.
Jershai and Andres.
For me as well, so I have mentors along my path from so when I first got to college, and I had mentors through high school who helped me choose my colleges and choose the ones that fit my career interest. And since I'm in college, same thing. I have mentors just the way, whether it be professors or TAs, and I was lucky enough to get into the UROC program and get my own research mentor, and she helped me along the way by showing me different resources for Latinos and Latinas, whether it be in science, whether it be in medicine, whether it be scholarships. She helped me along the way to constantly seek out ways to maybe make my semester easier and help me along the way as well. She was helpful every step of the way in her research because anytime I was getting a roadblock or anytime I felt, imposter syndrome, she helped me understand that these are normal and that I deserve to be here. And she constantly was helping me through every step of the way, whether even when I had my doubts or whether I was within the course flows. She as well helped me by saying to me, "Hey, guess what? The resources here in college you could look at too." And as well, don't forget, you can always, ask me to come to lab less this week so you can study better. And these resources help me a lot. 'Cause as someone who understands what you've gone through, and as well is currently wants you to know that they've gone through these challenges and they want you to not go through the same issues. It helped me a lot so that I could better succeed a lot academically this semester and as well my last year here UC Merced.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that you both had mentors throughout your career here. So we have about 5 to 10 minutes. So any of our audience members have questions for our undergrad panelists? Yeah.
Three of you have graduated and one is getting close to graduation. I am wondering, as you're transitioning into your whatever your next steps are, is there a resource that the university could either improve on or provide for you that would help you with that transition to your next steps?
Yeah, I think maybe I can start on this one. I think kind of in my experience, like I said, being a first year and trying to navigate all these spaces, it was hard enough kind of trying to get into the spaces that I got into and navigate those. And I think one of the things that I really had looked for from the university but wasn't able to find was sort of resources surrounding like different education opportunities, so post-undergrad opportunities in education and kind of the route for that. And so I think kind of moving forward, the university, it would be good to focus on kind of after, we graduate our students, how can we help place them in some sort of secondary position, whether it be in career or in academia? The Career Center does have a good sort of job of getting you prepared for the work environment, helping you build resumes and things like that. But I just really found it limited in terms of like educational opportunity after undergraduate.
As well can start as well. I agree with those ideas with the Career Center. Career Center, it was really helpful, building my resume, building my CV, but I felt like that it didn't really help with some of us who are seeking out that really get a job after and find jobs that fit each of our interests and fit each things we've done. I feel like going to these broad jobs and some of these jobs, they don't really fit interest and they're kind of limited for especially certain majors such as biology, where they're more like ecological, they're more like kind of jobs that, they don't really fit some of us who want to go into more of a clinical lab position or stuff like that. As well, I feel like that I feel like we often focus on, students wanting to go to PhD graduate school, but some of us don't really want to, go to graduate school after. We just want to get a job immediately, but yeah, we're constantly pushed, to go to graduate school to get your PhD or master's. And I feel like it'd be more beneficial. We also focus on students who want to get those clinical hours or those industry hours before, applying, and having opportunities for students who want to get those for applying so they can be more prepared and become a better candidate for these graduate school applications.
Anyone else want to share? No
Oh,
worries.
can I add something? Yeah, I think one thing that my friends and I have been talking about is that we're all scared of kind of like a post-grad depression. So I think one resource that the school can help us with would be maybe finding community even after we leave the university, or somehow staying in touch with the university and the community that we've built here, because I think that's one thing that happens when you graduate, right? All of a sudden you're not surrounded by your friends or the community that you've had for the last 4 years. So yeah, maybe something like that.
Has anyone of you ever had to withdraw or drop from a class because of circumstances? And if yes, would you be willing to share how you thought that process was? Were you treated fair? Or were the opportunities afterwards okay? Because for an instructor, very often a student has a challenge, has to drop from the class, and then the student just disappears and we don't know what happened. No one? Okay.
You all had anything like that?
Actually, I can go actually. So actually, I dropped a course, and it was specifically a course that I was looking to take back about a time ago. It's called. So I was trying to become an EMT, and I dropped the course because during COVID, I had a lot on my plate, and I was trying to take a course to become an EMT, and also my courses here in college, as Seducer said, and I had to drop it, and it was kind of a challenge because instead of having a professor who at least was trying to help you, saying, hey, if you have challenges, maybe we can, create, a space or create a way to maybe give you extra time if you need to do it to study for its ENT classes. And I felt like there wasn't really a resource center after. They're more focused on, getting you to get your license for ENT, that they don't really care about students who have as well have a family things going on, or have a lot of things on their plate with academics, as well maybe having mental health issues. And I feel like that there wasn't really much help for me for those kind of things that are going on after.
Hi, I was wondering, in the vein of the question you were answered earlier about what you would tell yourselves as freshmen or incoming freshmen, what would you tell high school students coming to UC Merced about how to get ready to be ready for UC Merced? And as part of that, I was also wondering if you could reflect on what your expectations were incoming, and what your ideas about what college should be and how they lined up with what you experienced.
I can go first. I think let's first start off, like, how UC Merced, how many of us never heard UC Merced ever, and most of us never heard of Central Valley either. So I think coming into here UC Merced, incoming high school students coming to college, I want them to be prepared that this school, just because it's a small university and just because it may not seem like as high up as UCLA or UC Berkeley, there's a lot of opportunities here. And I want them to tell them to seek out every opportunity you can, whether it be an internship, research labs, or these clinical things with the health centers. Seek it out, because these resources, they can actually be really good for your CV, or really good for other job positions you'll do in the future. Because I feel like these opportunities, we often dismiss them thinking, I'll never qualify, or I don't meet these positions, or I'm not good enough because I don't have these experiences. So you gotta still apply for it, because you don't know. I was shocked when I applied for a lab and I had zero experience in lab. I had COVID just happened. Guess what? I applied for it. I got into this lab and I've learned so much. by applying to a lab. And I told them, seek out research, just seek and keep on applying and don't be afraid, because I was honestly shocked when I got in. And guess what? I'm here 1 year after, really glad I'm in a lab and really glad for what I've learned.
Yeah, I agree with what Andres said. I would definitely tell incoming high school students to not to be too afraid to just explore as many different options as possible, whether it be like an internship or simply just clubs and extracurriculars, because I totally regret not being as involved in high school and not just, being less afraid to just do something that I'm not too familiar with. For example, the same exact thing, I never thought that I would be this involved with like marketing or social media marketing, even English and writing itself. But I just never explored those opportunities. And I was always kind of afraid to, or I thought like, no, I can't really get into it. But in reality, like you can get into anything as long as you just explore it, see what you like, and just practice it. So I would say just explore and not be too scared to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think I want to mirror that too. Like, just if some advice that I would have for high school students is, get involved, get involved, get involved. Whether it's campus life, academic life, even if it's just going to professor or to your professor's office hours, just to chat about an assignment or something like that. I think what really helped me a lot, not just in college, but through my whole career, is that I was able to get involved. Yeah, it was scary and things at first, but like I said, I've had great mentors and like they were easier to helping to getting into the involved process. But I think getting involved is a extremely important part to sort of any environment that you're in, because it helps to better connect you. I feel like once I started getting more involved when I got here at UC Merced, that's when I started to see opportunities open up. When I started to see that, this was something, college was something that I can do. It was a feasible plan in the end after all. And so, and then to answer the other question, when I came to UC Merced, some of the expectations that I may have had about like the campus or the public institution, honestly, I didn't have any sort of expectations. I was like happy to be getting into a 4-year, happy to be making my family proud kind of deal. So I didn't really have any expectations. I think the one thing that really surprised me though when I did get here was just how in the middle of nowhere it kind of is. So there's like really nothing to do. And so like I'm from a city, so I'm used to being able to go out with my friends, sort of late night, do this, that, there's always stuff open. But here, it really gives you time to sort of find kind of like that time to reflect and work on yourself, kind of the peaceful nature. And so that is one thing that I expected. I was surprised at the level of it, but yeah.
Other thoughts? All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We're at time so that we can move on to our graduate student panel, but I want to thank the 4 panelists here so much for congratulations to all of you who graduated.